He said, because the abuse you were receiving is what they always do to soldiers when they get out on medicals. Because it's like pack mentality, right? The strong attack the weak because you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? Well, you know what? You don't need me to hold the M16 unless someone's taking my position. Then you need to worry about that, right? But the men and women who are designed that way, that go into those MOSs for that training to do that job, I'm supporting them. Without me, their boom boom technology that they shoot at people, when it doesn't work, I have to make it work for them so that they can accomplish their mission and that they don't themselves get hurt. Right? Inside of some of that equipment, it is a rat's nest of wiring. There was this one system for Dragon missile system. It was called a TTS set. Good God, I can't tell you how many of those I did surgery on. Like, so I'm confused. Do you not understand what I'm telling you? I don't understand what the hell's going on. And I'm a relatively intelligent person, and this does not make sense to me. It's a cover-up.
You're talking about me calling
this,
you today?
you,
Is that what you're saying?
You and everybody else. I have the person at the whistleblower, the person I called and talked to and I have a recording of. I told her what was happening. She goes, our mission is just to protect the VA employees, not veterans. I said, so I asked her if she would call and report it for me. She says, no, sir, I will not. And she hung up on me. I've asked people in the VA for years to help me out and report it. And I have recordings of these people for years saying, we don't have a way to do that. I don't know what to do. I can't help you with that. But they're lying. Because they get in trouble. The longer this has gone on, and now that the Ileana healthcare system and Dr. Stephanie Erickson has realized now what is really going on, they're kind of in it to win it now, right? They are now part of the abuse, the continuation of an abuse. So they definitely are not trying to get in trouble. So now it's a conspiracy. And if it's true, it can be a conspiracy. Conspiracies are not always crazy people theories. A conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to defraud the government, conspiracy. You know, when the government needs to, the word conspiracy is used to link things that would not be able to be linked otherwise, so that you can make charges against more people, right? Which is why the FBI created RICO, so they could do that to the mafia. So I'm not delusional. I understand how this stuff works. And I'm going to dance on the edge of things I say so that ridiculous calls like you're giving me right now, I appreciate what you're doing for people who actually need help, by the way. I'm grateful for that. Thank you for doing your job. Thank you for caring. And I'm sorry that my irritation in the way I was talking to you earlier, but I was triggered by the person yesterday. The person that told you triggered me. And then I got the call, I believe it was Monday, from the VA in Virginia, the psychological group, who I called and recorded, and they said, yeah, we don't know who called you, we don't have your number anywhere, we don't have your name. You know, it became a legal issue for them, right? Because somebody got them to do something that they were not supposed to do, right? My resolve in this situation is absolute. I'm going down this direction. And whatever happens, happens. But if you hear one day that I committed suicide, you need to translate that and say, okay, he was actually murdered. Because Jason Baudon does not ever want to die, like most people. Unfortunately, our creator, whoever that is, decided that we had to. So we all die eventually, right? And judging from the way we're living on this planet, our days are already numbered. It may not be repairable what we've done already. Because you cannot continue. Well, religion on this planet has a definite ring of saying gluttony is a deadly sin. Gluttony, which is greed, which is the way we're living right now. So everything is digital and technological. I'm trying to explain this to you, so don't think I'm crazy. But so computer servers are required to hold data. Everybody's got computers, phones, these things. Well, thermodynamics, nothing's created, nothing's destroyed, it's only converted from one form to another. Well, electronics take electricity and run it through circuits, transistors and things of this nature, and the faster they do it, usually the hotter they get, because that's what happens. And it doesn't take a genius to realize that engines are doing the same thing, all of our technology is doing the same thing. We have hundreds of miles of buildings on this planet that have servers in them from wall to wall that have massive cooling systems that are taking the heat away from them, creating heat to do that, the heat exchange in an air conditioning system or a cooling system, right? So you have to burn energy and create heat to then create something cool so that you can pull the heat off the thing you're trying to cool, and then that heat on top of the heat it generated is then put into the air, right? So we are massively pumping heat into the air, and this rhetoric of nonsense that they don't want to face the reality of global climate change from what we're doing. Oh, and now the new excuse is, well, the planet has always been doing this. Well, yeah, but we continue to live on this planet when those things happen only if we don't do things to make those problems worse, right? It's kind of like a feedback loop. The more you do things to counteract what's happening, the more those things will happen, because usually the cost of counteracting those things causes the problem to get worse, right? So trying to counteract an individual who you believe to be mentally ill and force medications on them, and you should never, ever, ever force medications on a person without their consent or the consent of their emergency contact or their guardian. You should never, ever, ever do that. That is attempted murder. That is attempted murder, right? Because they screwed up my mental state for years. You know what? I think by now I actually would have tried to go back to work. But unfortunately now, because of social media and the damage that was done to me, and the fact that I'm in the FBI's database as mentally defective for a 90-day court order hold that I was out in 7 because they made a mistake, I would be perfect to work for national security, the Department of Defense. Even though I'm not capable of putting boots on and being a soldier, I can support the people who are putting their lives on the line for us. But now I can't pass a background check because of what they did. I passed one to get in the military. They would have not let me have my job if I didn't. And then after I got into the military, they sent me into training to tell me exactly what a security clearance meant and how to detect spies trying to entrap you into giving them as much information as they can. They do something as innocuous as ask you for a base phone book, which is really not that big of a deal, but in some hands it is. And then they're like, oh, you weren't supposed to do that. And then they got you on the hook because they're going to tell on you or you're going to help them, right? So that's what they're doing. that was trained to me by the military as a child. You know, I was a kid. It woke me up. I mean, I was already intelligent, but it woke me up to a level I didn't know. And then I proceeded to get training, random training on that, where I didn't know what was happening the entire time I was in the military. And I know because it stood out like a sore thumb. When I was in Louisiana, the VA over there, I believe, called the emergency network over there to tell them I was suicidal. So after my interactions with the doctors, I started noticing that ambulances were parked in parking lots next to my home that they were never parked at before. Police were parking their cars across the street from my road where they never parked before. So instead of trying to help me with the abuse, right? And let's be clear, I'm saying this to be very clear about it, that 9 years of my life have been destroyed. My family has disowned me because of what the medication did to me, right? They have completely destroyed my life. 9 years that I possibly would have met a woman, maybe had children, had a good job. All of that stuff has been vaporized. We only get to do this merry-go-round once. They took 9 years of my life away, and now I have other medical issues from what they did to me. So they get pissed off because I say that I need financial restitution so that I can find a way to live my life in a way that will help me move forward. Because in our reality, in our country, when you take time from somebody, it's time for time, right? So we compensate people financially to make up for what we did to them for stealing their life. If you, I guess if you are an offender that hurts somebody or kills somebody, you know, it's a time for time type of equation. You killed people, okay, so we're going to either give you life in prison depending on where you're at, or we're going to execute you. That's how it works in our country, especially. And so when I tell them that I need to have visibility on this, so for one, to resolve the problem that I couldn't get my disability back in 2015, because they messed me up so bad that I couldn't keep up with the appeals. So now all the money that I would have had in back pay from the appeals is gone. And then I find out, I finally hire an attorney, and I'm talking to her, and she said, well, they're saying you're on drugs. Guess what? I'm not.
Where did that come in?
Yeah. So
Yeah, okay.
in the system, when I got here to Illinois, and I was asking for lidocaine, which is not a pain medication. It's a pain medication, but it's not a narcotic. It's topical. You can go buy it in Walgreens in lotion form, but the pharmaceutical gel version works better. So when I asked for this, Dr. Chitavu at the Peoria Clinic, VA clinic, is demanding that I have a drug test because it's a controlled substance. And I said, no, it's not. So then when she loses that battle against me, she goes, oh, gabapentin's a controlled substance. No, it's not. Like I'm an idiot. Then I go to give labs for something routine, and they test me for hepatitis. And I don't understand why they did that. They didn't even have my consent for it, and they did it anyway. Obviously, I don't have hepatitis because I don't take drugs intravenously. I don't live a risky lifestyle. So why the hell do you feel it's necessary to make sure that I don't have hepatitis? Make sure that I'm not on drugs. And then I went looking through Blue Button on the VA site and found an entire list of controlled substances that are pharmaceutically manufactured, saying that I'm taking all of these things like fentanyl, testosterone. I can't even remember what I have a copy of it. I downloaded it. So these things